a fast transition, sorry. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started, guys. Today I'm going to talk to you about my Capstone, which is formal auditory training to improve speech comprehension in adults. So just a little bit of background. Individuals with sensory neural hearing loss are more likely to experience a reduced ability to comprehend speech when compared to normal hearing peers. And this is especially true when there's background noise present, like competing speakers, other conversations, or even wind noise. Many of these individuals forego amplification due to many personal reasons, such as price, the look of the devices, or just their denial of the hearing loss. And a lot of them don't realize that auditory training can be used even without hearing aids to improve speech comprehension in troublesome situations. So many studies have used auditory training to show speech understanding with an amplification device, but the study by Henning Ferguson showed aided and unaided adults improved after auditory training, but a lot of those improvements were really small. And this led the researchers to conclude that auditory training cannot be used as a good guide for hearing loss intervention at this time. So this brought me to the purpose of my research and my research question, which is formal auditory training a beneficial tool for improving speech comprehension in adults with hearing loss who do not wear hearing aids? So for my method, it included using the hearing handicap inventory for adults and the hearing handicap inventory for the elderly, the QuickSIN, and the listening and communication enhancement program, or the LACE program, which I'm sure you're all a little bit familiar with at least. So the HHIE is for those 65 years and older, and the HHIA is for those under 65 years. They're self-assessment questionnaires that are comprised of 25 questions each. The person filling out the questionnaire rates the answers as yes, sometimes, or no. Some examples, and as you guys can kind of read there, are questions like, does a hearing problem cause you to avoid groups of people? Or does a hearing problem cause you to feel frustrated when talking to family members? And the only difference between the questionnaires, one's directed more towards younger adults and one's directed towards older adults, kind of assessing, retired age versus working age. This tool evaluates the impact of hearing impairment on social and emotional aspects of everyday life. And I just wanted to use this tool in my study because I wanted to see how people thought their hearing loss was impacting their life every day. So the QuickSIN is just a recorded speech and noise test that is used to assess an individual's signal-to-noise ratio loss, or SNR loss. And participants are required to repeat back sentences to the tester in different levels of background noise. So it starts off with a minimal background noise, and as you go through it, a lot more background noise. This test is determined, to estimate the SNR that a listener requires to correctly repeat back 50% of the words in a sentence. All right, now moving on to the LACE program. This is the Listening and Communication Enhancement Program, and is an auditory training software. And it includes modules such as speech and noise. So there will be a speaker talking with background noise, and the participant will have to pick out what the sentence was saying, and they'll select from list A, B, C, or D. There's word memory, which just helps people learn to fill in the gaps. So again, a sentence will be said with a missing word, and they have to pick out the missing word from A, B, C, or D. Competing speakers, obviously that just has two speakers at one time, so maybe a man's voice and a woman's voice talking at the same time. Oops. And they say, what did the man say? And again, pick from a list. And then rapid speech, which is just a sentence that happens really fast, and they kind of have to try to guess what that said. I think that was probably the most difficult for all of them. And with this, I really like this program because the modules are adaptive. So if the person's doing really, really poorly, it gets a little easier. And if they're doing really well, it gets a little harder. So it's never too easy or too hard for each person. And it's recommended by LACE that the participants or whoever's using the program complete at least 20 sessions at 5 days a week, just so they're getting enough training. So for my participants, I was able to recruit 9, including 1 man and 8 women. The average age of the participants was 69.3 years, and there was an age range from 63 to 74 years. All the participants had bilateral sensory neural hearing loss, as defined by their 4-frequency PTA, and all of the PTAs were greater than or equal to 25 dB. None of the participants were hearing aid users, and they're all native English speakers. So here are my procedures. For pre-testing, I had them come into the clinic, and they underwent otoscopy, a hearing test, the Quickson, and then I had them complete the HHIE or A on their own while I was out of the room. They were introduced to the LACE program, and I gave them an access code to download their personal copy at home, and I ran them through a demonstration of the LACE program on our computer. For the LACE program, they were just instructed to complete the modules in a quiet, non-distracting environment, and also to do about 5 modules per week, and then I asked them to come back within 4 to 6 weeks after their initial start date. For post-testing, each participant, again, underwent otoscopy, the Quickson, and the HHIE or A on their own. And for the Quickson, I did use inter-rater reliability, and that was found to be 100%. And now I'll go into my results. All right, so for the participants, it took them on average 4.25 weeks to come back and see me, which was really good because I asked them to come back within that 4 to 6 weeks. I think the latest date was exactly at 6 weeks. And then I asked them to come back within 1 week of finishing the LACE, their last LACE module, and that average was 3.5 days, so again, well within that 1 week range. The average 4-frequency PTA of all the participants was 28.8 dB for the right and 29.6 for the left ears. And I categorized the PTAs into degrees of hearing loss, and overall, as you guys can kind of see from my charts here, red is right, blue is left, that most of them did have that mild range of hearing loss, which was kind of surprising because most of them had a lot of high frequency loss, but when you look at it like this, it is pretty mild. And one was found to have the moderate PTA. All right, here are my pre and post-test Quickson degrees of SNR changes results. The Quickson categorizes their degree of SNR loss into 4 categories, which is normal to near normal, mild, moderate, and severe. And based on the pre and post-testing, 45%, or the top bar there, remained neutral and did not improve or decline in pre and post-testing measures. They started out normal and ended normal. Similarly, the third bar down, 11%, started off mild and remained mild in post-testing. 33% of the participants improved their degree of SNR loss, the second and fourth bar, whether that be from mild to normal or moderate to mild. Also, the last bar, 11%, had an SNR decrease from normal to a mild, so that kind of went the other way. And I ran a two-tailed t-test on this, and it did not show significance with a p-value of 0.06. And I also found that 7 out of the 9 participants were within test-retest reliability of the Quickson. So that is not showing any clinical significance there either. However, 2 of them, which is the circled bar there, were not within the test-retest reliability of the Quickson, so those ones actually did have some clinical significance. Then for the HHIE and A, they categorized the handicap into 3 different categories, which is no handicap, mild to moderate, and then significant. And my results here show that 56% of the participants showed no degree of handicap either in the pre or post-testing conditions. 33% showed a mild degree in the pre-testing condition and went to a normal or no handicap in post-testing. And then again, like the Quickson, we had one reverse, 11%. They showed no handicap during the pre-testing, and then for post-testing, they showed a mild handicap. And even though there were positive and negative changes in their scores, they were all within test-retest reliability. So again, not clinically significant. So for my discussion, overall, the participants did not improve for the Quickson, and the results were variable among the participants. However, 2 out of the 9, like I talked about, were outside of that test-retest reliability. So that does show that there may be some implications there for future studies. And again, these results are pretty similar to what has been found in other studies that I talked about in my introduction. And I just think I found these results because the Quickson doesn't offer visual cues, and the LACE program kind of teaches you go out into the real world and practice what you've been learning. So I'm guessing they practiced what they learned, and they came here back to see me, and it was just a recording. They couldn't see me talking. They couldn't use the visual cues. For the HHIE, again, very similar results to the Quickson, very variable and nothing significant clinically this time. I believe that the LACE program heightened their awareness of their hearing loss because when they first came into me, a lot of the comments were, oh, no, I don't have a problem. And they would circle, no's for everything. And then on the post-test, they were like, oh, wow, I think I really do have a problem here. So they're circling more, yeah, maybe I do here and there. So I think that could have been a factor. And then for the LACE program, I just wanted to share some comments with you guys from the participants. A lot of them said that the content was outdated because it talked about payphones, and we haven't seen those since the 90s, I guess. So they're like, yeah, we haven't seen that. That's so outdated. They need to change that. And then they said it was unrealistic because the fast talker was too fast, but I don't think they realized that that's the whole point of the program, was to have a fast talker. On a positive note, most said that they learned to pay attention more and that they were using the strategies they learned in the LACE program in real conversations. And also I had one married couple in my study, and they're like, that's really improved our communication. We just feel closer than ever. And I was just like, glad I could help. And so, just based on their comments, if I didn't know anything about the statistics, I'd be like, yeah, that program really works. So maybe it's just mind over matter, not sure. Then my limitations, obviously I only had 9 participants. It was hard to recruit for this study because it did require 4 to 6 weeks of commitment to it. And everyone came back to my study. It was great. I had no issues. Everybody was perfect. I was really surprised. The completion timeline, maybe if we would have done just 4 weeks instead of 6 weeks, would that have changed anything? Maybe. The severity of hearing loss, after I had looked at their PTAs, it was mainly a mild hearing loss across the board. So I'd like to do, maybe a moderate or severe study instead of just mild. And then more Quickson lists, because when I was looking at the confidence intervals for the test-retest, the more lists you do, the more likely it is that they're not going to be within that test-retest reliability. And then this is a fun little update that I got like the day after I finished my participants. It's like, important notice, we are changing the LACE program from 20 sessions to 11 sessions. So I had the home edition, and basically the home edition, they take it home, download on their computer, and they do it there. The online version, they can do it, access it with a username and password anywhere with internet. And it's only 11 sessions because their research has shown that it's a better commitment to do 11 sessions. Obviously, who wants to do more work than they have to? And that other research has shown that the most change occurs within the first 10 days. There are my references. I want to acknowledge GN Resound for providing the funding for my research. And that's my puppy, Hercules. He's not supposed to eat paper, so he was really trying not to eat that paper. But I want to say thank you to Dr. King for countless meetings with me through my Capstone and being my advisor, to Dr. Hartman, Dr. Henning, and Dr. Misurelli for reading over my edits and everything. Thank you to Dave Millay for helping with LACE program. We only had one issue with downloading the program because someone had a firewall on their computer, and he fixed that for me. And then Sara Anderson and Kai Bickford for being helpers and doing inter-rater reliability for me. Any questions? Yes.
So I'm vaguely familiar with one study that looked at people that did LACE in a clinical setting and then did it at home.
At home, okay.
Because I think that there's some concern that people aren't completing all of the
sessions, yeah.
Did you have a way to measure whether or not they were really actually doing it?
Yes, I did. Yep. I had a HIPAA protected password that only I could access. And once they registered their code, I gave them all personal codes. Once they registered that code, it would just show up as their code. And obviously, I would just be like, oh yeah, this is participant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And I could see on this date they completed this one, this date they completed that one. So I was keeping an eye on all of them. Yes, go ahead.
I have a question about the participant whose Quickson score went down.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the same person whose hearing handicap inventory score got worse as well?
I don't think it was. I'm not positive, but I don't think it was, no.
What did that participant give you any self-report? Did they feel like they were struggling more after doing LACE?
No, I think that I did use 2 different lists for the Quickson. I did 1 through 3 for the first testing, and then 4 through 7 or whatever for the second one. So I just don't know if maybe those second sentences were harder for them. A lot of the time, I think that they may have been for some people. A lot of them struggled with the first ones, and then did better with the second ones. But yeah. Anyone else? Thought I saw another hand somewhere. Okay, thank you guys.